All right, our next game for the show is Clash of Steel, which was nominated by Pochi Pillar on iTunes. It was developed and published by Strategic Simulations for MS-DOS. Earliest release date and territory, 1993. Nobody knows. Somebody please talk about this game so I don't have to.
I got no.
Hey, let's not set this game up for failure.
No.
Is Bob going to talk about this game?
I looked at the manual and my brain kind of died.
Yeah,
that's not talking about the game. That's talking about the manual,
Okay.
which starts with a paragraph that is in hyper italics. You got to open this up. I tweeted a picture of it. It's fantastic.
Just to lift the curtain a little bit for the audience here. A lot of times when people nominate games, we haven't actually played every game that's ever been made, believe it or not. And sometimes we play a game for the first time because it was nominated. And this is a weird situation for us because, like, I'm with Bobinator. Like, I tried to get into this, and like, I could literally feel parts of my brain shutting down.
So let's talk about what it is before your brain completely turns off.
I think I did, but okay, go ahead.
This is a top-level military global diplomacy simulator for the European front in World War II. And it is exactly what you think it would be if you're familiar with what most of those words will mean for a game. You see Europe. You can play as the Axis. You can play as several different allies, and I think the Axis you can play as the Germans, and I think you might be able to play as the Italians, but you can definitely play as the Germans. And you can play as the Russians, or I think the European, I think you play as the English and the French. I'm pretty sure you can play either of those. And you get to choose a part of World War II, so you can choose to start at the start of World War II, or at specific historical turning points, and then you do things like order troops around, get reinforcements, do some very basic diplomacy, do some very basic research, and your goal is to either win the war, or if you're playing as Germany, kind of alter history a little bit and survive until 1945, and I guess then you just win because Germany invents the super bomb. I'm not really sure, but that's the goal of Germany.
So
survive until 2016, November.
To go on a different track real quick, I do like some strategy every so often. I kind of enjoyed like Master of Magic and discuss that, but this is on another level entirely.
It's boring.
Sorry. This is the closest you can get to realistic general. And by general, I mean actually like general. Is it MacArthur was the general for World War II, I believe?
Well, there were several generals in World War II, believe it or not. But yeah,
I would actually believe that. But you know, you are basically playing as the super mega ultra boss, and you are kind of a dictator in this game because it doesn't matter what side you pick. You are the singular authority. So you can say, no, I want to build nothing but tanks, just tanks, nothing else, tanks and tanks and tanks and tanks, and see if building nothing but tanks would win you World War II. And that's, that's the kind of detail you're at. No one questions you. There is a morale system for the troops that you have. It's a little percent number, which I think just dictates how well they do in combat. It doesn't.
General Cal tells us to build nothing but tanks.
So
yeah,
I've been building tanks day and night.
So Herr Churchill's patented tank spam strategy won them Normandy. That's that's one way to write the books or what. I don't know. I got nothing. I have so much nothing for this.
This game is probably the most complicated and most feature-rich game of this type in 1993. I don't think very much comes close.
Okay. I can admire that on cerebral perspective and for like authentic history nuts. Like my dad's a really big fan of the Civil War and he'd appreciate a game like this that took place in 1860, I'm sure. But
I like the idea that wars have fans.
That's the thing I wanted to say about this game being fun. Do you think this strategy was fun for the actual generals back in the 1940s? No. This It's just frightening.
No, but that's okay.
They were pissing themselves, trying to, lose as few troops as possible, but casualties were inevitable. And
it's weird though.
I think it's not really necessary to moralize this kind of game because it is what it is. I would like to run this is a huge war effort, and it's at least cerebrally, as you sort of said, it is an intriguing thing to go. What if I had made the decisions in World War II? If I was making those decisions, would more lives have been saved? I want to find out. Or could the Germans have won if they didn't have a lunatic in charge? Let's find out,
So I do want to say one thing about this game that really turned me off is let's take a recent game like Mass of Orion. I mean, that's not really the same kind of game, but it's interesting. It has nice graphics. It presents things in an interesting way to keep you involved. This might as well be a spreadsheet.
It is very much like, if you go back and listen to our legendary Madden 95 episode of GC9X, we talk a little bit about, it really was. We talk a little bit about what's Stratomatic or Statomatic or whatever it's called. Like a weird baseball stat simulator type thing. It's like, it literally is just like a bunch of spreadsheets and algorithms and stuff. And that's what this game seems like to me. It's like, it's hard for me to say anything about it because I can't even approach it on its own level.
Yeah, I mean, I want to just compare this to what we're talking about now to a prior episode where Cal pretty much took the reins explaining Knights of Crystallion because he has some sort of magical power to cut through boring or obtuse games and wring some actual logic out of them. I don't know how he does that. Cal's a better man than I.
He's the crap whisperer.
But I did want to say, at least in Crystallion's favor, it's almost unapproachable, but it's a creative game. I'll give it that.
Well, I mean, this game is creative though. Like to come up with all these alternate scenarios and stuff, and things that can happen if you do this differently, and that takes a level of creativity, like kind of creativity I can't appreciate.
You have to remember, this company, SSI, had been making this style of war game for almost a decade at this point, which is insane to think about, that they started in the early 80s making war games, and they just kept making them. They made millions of dollars and millions of sales of war games, which is nuts. Throughout this period. And so this is kind of the paramount summarization of them making these games and going, what if we make it a little bit better? What if we tweak this? We add more stats here. And there is a lot of detail in this game. And if you guys have difficulty kind of getting your head around the game, imagine building this game. Imagine building a game that is so.
Yeah, I'm going to give SSI their due there. I mean, they know their craft. They know it well. They have designed what is technically a very, elaborate game that considers all sorts of things, terrain and weather and timing and all that. But it's not mine super crystals out of a giant creature skull creative now, is it?
Like Masters of Orion?
No, Crystal.
Oh no,
Crystallion.
I'm sorry. I'm being slightly irrational at this point.
I think you can do that in both of the games, but but I mean, the weird thing. Okay, so we've kind of explained the strengths of this game. It's hard because I don't think any of us are hardcore wargaming types. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
maybe Bobinator's really into that kind of thing, but I'm not.
All I know is Advanced Wars, and even then, just the first.
That's
as far as I go.
Yeah.
This is like the bizarro opposite of Advance Wars, because Advance Wars is fun. It has interesting, wacky characters and catchy music and clear rules.
But it's also rock, paper, scissors, and there's in most scenarios, there's only one way to win. And it really does come down to trial and error, where I don't think that is true of Clash of Steel.
I really do like Military Madness on the TG16 also.
But that is also gets kind of in that territory, whereas this game is to make a game like this where you can do all kinds of stuff and really experiment and have fun exploring the possibilities. The problem is what does a game like this have to be fun on a regular, on the mortal plane of funness? Does it have to stoop to our level of fun? to succeed.
My opinion on this one is very specific. Is that this game almost exists completely outside of regular what we would call gamers or gaming, because this game is really not like, if you are someone who goes and plays a Mario Brothers platformer or even something like Advanced Wars or any, like, you know, all these games, shoot 'em ups, shmups, whatever. You don't go and you go, well, I played those a bit. Now I want to play a hardcore military simulation game for the next 40 hours. Like, you
See
don't.
what you're saying? In a lot of ways, as a game, like it's a game that has more in common with encyclopedias than it does other games, I think is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and it has an audience that looks for that, and
Right.
they're not going to overlap that much.
Not that odd. Yeah.
But this game is also built off the tradition. There's a lot of board games. There's some, I think Avalon Hill, Hitler's War is a famous one, that are like this. They're basically a representation of World War II in the European theater, and you just run the campaigns. And this game does this as well, where you can play hot seat, you can play 2-player, you can both compete in, you know, in running a war effort against each other. And that's, you know, it's for people who want that kind of grand scope. It's not a fast sit-down play session. This is the exact opposite of that. In a lot of ways, games like Master of Magic, Civilization, Advanced Wars, these are all ways of distilling what this game wants to represent into a digestible format. Which doesn't mean this game, I don't think this makes this game bad. No. It just means that this game is a completely, like, the market for this game is, it's not us, and it's a very specific set of people. It is almost like if you have ever thought, I want to own some World War II memorabilia, you know, I want to own the helmet, some gear, I just want to own that. That's the kind of person who also says, this game is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Wait, is it unfair to say this is the sort of game that you can really only appreciate if you've grown up playing it for most of your life?
I don't think that's true. I think that there are people who will play this game or play games like this game or its successors, you know, who will suddenly find it and be like, this is what I've been looking for all my life.
Oh,
like,
so you need to be
this
old
is what I want
to enjoy it.
No,
I'm being a dick.
think it's like
I'm
you've got to be the type of person who really wants to do this. And just because there's only, like, you know, a couple hundred of them in the entire globe doesn't mean that
I will say, to be fair, there's probably because I know how many copies these games sold. I think it sold maybe 500,000 copies this game, so it's probably about that many people in the world, kind of deal. I have from myself, I have cousins who love, like, World War II military history. They adore it. They almost do reenactments, not quite at the moment, and they do the miniatures that are all, you know, tank battles in World War II.
Who led the Australian forces in World War II? Was it a koala?
Racist.
Yeah,
yes,
Senator McQualla is
that koala, sir. That koala served his country like a man.
We have been condescending.
There were Australians on the Western Front, incidentally, but most of them were recalled back.
What was the Emu War? I love the Emu War.
I'm not going to talk about the Emu War. That was a national travesty.
What? I'll have to look into this later.
But, you know, these are people who really do get into this specific thing. Like, this game has esoteric rules. It does have things like there's, like, the Russian winter is built into this game. There's specific events in World War II that if you set them up, like the Balkans kind of stuff, you can set it up and trigger this kind of thing because they know that people that play this game already know what happens in World War II. It doesn't explain very much about what's supposed to happen. It does in the manual, but the manual's like, look, you must know about World War II if you bought this game. And that's something that I think is very important about this game. You didn't buy Clash of Steel and think, what I really hope I'm getting here is a lightweight, easy to get into, like, military game. Yeah. Like, at the time, Nintendo War. Nintendo.
Yeah, nobody's going to be like, all right, I bought Clash of Steel, now just give me the gist of it. Like, what happened?
Yeah, like, they break out, the manual is 38 pages, A4, back-to-back, side-to-side, huge thing.
Wait a minute.
I mean,
small print.
Wait a minute.
You break that, you read the whole thing, because that's what you do, and you want it to.
Wait a minute. You kids didn't hear how World War II ended. We won!
USA! Yeah. No, I mean,
and that's
look,
the thing. Like, this is a game for an audience. We're probably not the audience, which makes this very difficult for us. Where the hell are we gonna put this game? Yeah.
Funny because okay, so look, we gotta like what do we even compare? Is there anything we can compare this to on our list that
because we don't have that many simulation games either.
No,
really.
we do not. Well, we got
simulators.
Wall Street Kid, right?
That's about as close as we can get.
I would say this is better than Wall Street Kid.
I'll give it that.
Hot take.
What makes you say that, out of curiosity?
Wall Street Kid is just like hot garbage.
Fair enough.
This game does genuinely try and explain itself. It's unfortunately quite regrettably before the era of tooltips and integrated encyclopedias and manuals in games. But the manual itself is very well laid out. It has a quick start guide. It has a glossary. It explains all of its terms and all of the stuff. You know, if you read the manual all the way through back to back, you would probably be equipped to at least understand what was happening. And it tries its best. It's one of the first DOS games of this type to have mouse control, full mouse control.
True.
No, it has hotkeys and it uses the cursors if you want, but you can play this with the mouse, which is really nice, especially if you were a general war gamer who didn't really understand computers all that well. You could actually play this game, which is nice.
It took them until 1993 to make mouse support. I'm pretty sure there are games from the 80s that had mouse support.
Well, I mean,
have you played that many DOS games with mouse support? Because it's not super common.
Like super hardcore war sims.
I'm pretty sure some of the King's Quest games have mouse support. And those
no, they did,
80s.
but we're talking about military sims, I think.
The early King's Quest did not have mouse support, by the way. They backported it in like later dates, I thought. Most of those. So, anyway, getting off topic.
Another kudos to Clash of Steels is that, as best I can tell, this is one of the it deserves mention as one of the hardcore military sims of this era that doesn't like fetishize the Wehrmacht. You know,
it's a very even-handed thing. It doesn't mention a lot of the grimy details of World War II.
No,
really.
but right, because that would make it really unfun, I guess.
Yeah,
less fun.
You know, like there's a kind of a but you know what I mean. Like there's no like the imagery, like you know, like you got like the Panzer General games and stuff like that, where you're like.
Yeah, it's not. It's just got like kind of a generic military guy in its art. It doesn't. Have
or like even like you know like Japanese games did this a lot. Like they equate Germanness with like.
They still do that, and it's kind of sometimes it comes up, and you're like, "Oh, really guys, calm down."
You know, there's no harm meant by it, of course, but it just it's very uncomfortable.
But something that is good about this, and you've mentioned that, I do actually want to say there's even special units in the game. There's like Rommel. He's a special tank unit that when he shows up, he actually has extra ability in Africa. He gets bonus. Yeah. He's running it. That's really nice to actually even consider that it has extra features like that.
I mean, this game certainly has a lot of detail in it, but I've been very antagonistic because I generally dislike slow-paced games, so I don't think I can be scientific ranking this one.
Wait, no, you can be scientific because you're the only. We got to do this.
Well, okay, I'm going to suggest a completely arbitrary place to start. I'm going to lowball it a little bit, and you guys decide whether it goes higher or lower. Clash of Steel, I'm initially going to put between rats and I have no mouth and I must scream. Now let's haggle.
I mean, that's definitely a low in my.
Okay, here's my scientific assessment. I'm going to put it right above Clash Demon Head because they both start with the word clash. They was Clash in the title.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Arbitrary.
Science. Serious?
No, science.
For God's sakes.
I will say that the biggest weakness
that's a comparable
of this game
variable.
Is actually that it's buggy, and they released a few years after this one. They basically re-released the game called Clash of Steel Future War. It's actually basically the exact same game, but slightly improved. So this game, for no less than 3 years, because that's when the next one update was released, was the premier game of its type. It was the military World War II game of this type for no less than 3 years, and it has features that are still not super common in similar Paradox-style games, I believe, to date, because they didn't necessarily do those features in the same way, which is kind of cool. And to think about it, that today, you know, you've got Paradox games. This game isn't that different to those. It's just kind of more obtuse to work out what its acronyms mean, and the graphics are rougher.
So
but it's still got that core. Where I am thinking
you're thinking
this,
right below Clash of Demon Head, then, is what you're thinking.
I was going to put it slightly higher than that. I wanted to put it above Donkey Kong Country 3.
Oh, okay. That's too much.
Okay.
No, that's... I disagree with that.
You're allowed to do that.
I was going to say higher than Lethal Enforcers at most, and that's my final offer.
That's where I would go, because this game is a giant blank mystery to me. I don't know.
No. You know everything about this game. You are an expert, and your opinion is sacrosanct.
Xerxes BS, you already gave the inside baseball that we didn't know dingus about this one. It's in the recording. You can't take it
tell the listeners.
For God's sake.
Don't expose.
We're really good at this kind of game. I managed to fight the war in World.
It's true.
I did good.
Yes.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
My
thinking is, I really think you guys are selling short the amount of effort that this game contains at its exact target.
Look, last episode we talked about Streets of Rage Remake. If you, instead of being a super fan of Streets of Rage, you were a super fan of World War II, this is kind of what you get. It's like, and you got to, hats off to you. That's all I got to say.
Well, I know you guys hated Ninja Gaiden on an episode you ranked that I wasn't around for, but I am not placing this game any higher than Ninja Gaiden, okay? That's just wrong to me.
Let's just do that.
What? Place it above Ninja Gaiden?
Place it higher than Ninja Gaiden.
Bullshit!
Can we at least place it above Lethal Enforcers? I think
I was agreeing with you, Sotenga.
Oh, sorry.
Let's place it above Lethal Enforcers, below Ninja Gaiden. How about that? That?
Between Ninja Gaiden and Lethal Enforcers, are we doing that, please?
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
sure,
I've been a jerk.
My apologies to the grognuts in the audience.
Wait. No pink revolvers in this game. It goes below Lethal Enforcers.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough.
That's hardly fair.
It is perfectly fair. Pink revolver.
You just wanted to put it next to Clash. I'm sick of this Clash of Clashes.
Oh, let's just put this.
You better not say that. They might make us play that next. Or Clash of Clans.
Lethal Enforcers has a pink revolver called the Justifier.
Yeah.
Throwing that out.
I mean, that's really the biggest negative about this game is that it's simply World War II. Ultimately, it is just a simulation game. It doesn't have its own spin on anything, really.
Cal, you have done a good job.
It's pizzazz into the butchery.
Yeah, you have done a good job of talking up its positives, but just simply put, most people today aren't going to be able to get into this type of game. If they would,
which is why it doesn't matter where we rank it. Our ranking is perfect because nobody's going to call us on this one.
Yeah, if they would want to play it, they just go for a more modern and sophisticated title. I don't know what, but
somebody's going to nominate like Microsoft's Close Combat, one of their few games they published before the Xbox, and then we're going to have to really.
I did want to just, I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge who Clash of Steel is for. That was my main thing.
It's weird that we got to do this so many times. Like we got to do like. Fantasy World Dizzy is not for us, but
well, Fantasy World Dizzy is
not for us, but
this is.
I honestly think this Clash of Steel is better than Fantasy World Dizzy because it executes what it needed to do almost without fail. It did a very good job of it compared to Dizzy, which is kind of like but it's kind of a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass because they made it a pain in the ass. Most of the problems with Clash of Steel are because it's simulating World War II, like. If you have a complicated war that's huge, then it's going to be really complicated and huge to get into it.
Yeah, if your goal is realism, it's like criticizing Gran Turismo for having too many variables to tweak.
And I would.
Yeah,
it
would be like, Gran Turismo should have power-ups to let you kill other cars. It's like, no, because then what the hell?
Yeah, I like what I like, and if I think it's boring, I'm just going to say as such. I'm sorry.
I can't believe I made it through the entire Clash of Steel conversation.
I can't either. I'm impressed.
It kept you going because you needed to say things about Clash of Steel, I guess.
I just have to be there. Wherever
Clash
there's an unpopular game.
I'm glad it was nominated because it's a good. Like we've never had to talk about something like it before, and hopefully we don't have to talk about something like it anytime soon.
Best games podcast ever.